All right, well, we today have a presenter, Amber Edom, with Precious Legacy, and she's going to tell us about her nonprofit.
Good morning. Good morning. This is my very first presentation, so thank you for bearing with me. I guess two things: if I don't curse and I don't cry, we're going to be good. So I am sure you're all wondering how I came to be standing in front of you today. I was married to an Army officer of nearly 20 years. By Aaron Edom. In 2016, he was tragically killed, leaving our 15-year-old son, Skylar, our almost 7-year-old daughter, Kaden, and our 17-year-old daughter, Shay. When Shay got to the point the next year to start looking for support, she quickly found out that she no longer qualified. She had aged out. So I created the Precious Legacy to support the ones that are very easy to forget, our young adults. So I will get more into the Precious Legacy here in a second, but I want to do a little bit of education so you understand why we are important. Here you will see two ribbons, a Blue Star ribbon and a Gold Star ribbon. For the ones that don't know, Blue Star ribbons are signifying the immediate family members of service members who are active in the service. Gold Star ribbon is something you earn but you don't want. It is for immediate family members of service members who have died for our nation. So you'll hear the word Gold Star and it's not a reward. In this, I want to show you some of the age groups that you're going to see that are offered for support. This graph here, you'll notice that we focus on ages 19 to 24-year-olds. And it's obviously the smallest cubes in this, but this graph is from 2011. So all these have shifted into the area that we are focusing on today. And these are also only the over 12,000 children is grossly wrong. It's focused on only KIA deaths. The Veterans Administration does not want to honor stateside deaths. Here we go. We looked into over 100 nonprofits that honor support for our children. You'll notice over 80% of them focus on children under the age of 18. At 18% of them are of 18 and over. You want to dig down even deeper into that. Half of that, 9%, is based on scholarships. The other 9 of our actual support systems for our aged out community. Even further into those percentages, every one of these nonprofits have criteria. If it is suicide, if it is death, if an accident, if it is an illness, they don't qualify. Most of these will only allow in line of duty or KIA overseas deaths. So those percentages are even grossly lower to support our aged out communities. Both of these graphs are incredibly important because not only have the children lost a parent, they also have all the military stress and junk that they have gone through for years, and as not having that support group, the mental state of them declines, and as we all know, even as young adults, age and grief does not discriminate, and a lot of these are focused on age criteria. Am I doing it wrong? Okay. So, nope.
That might have been me, sorry.
Okay.
I don't know what happened.
This isn't going against my 8 minutes.
No, you are doing great. I don't know why it just dropped.
So I had a 30-minute presentation, and she was like, "That ain't gonna cut it." I'm like, "There's so much information to share." Okay. We're just swimming through, and we're gonna leave plenty of time for questions.
good. You're among friends and we are not on an airplane.
And we were just getting to the good stuff.
You were just doing so good too. I'm so sorry.
There's not any of us that haven't had technical problems. So it's worse, but we're all used to it. Happens every time.
Here we are. Okay, so what is so different about the Precious Legacy and why are we important? We do not follow the hierarchy of most of these nonprofits. We accept all surviving children, no matter of location, manner of death, what branch, or even the relationship to the survivor. My daughter, Shay, was Aaron's stepdaughter. He helped raise her. She knew him for 10 plus years, and she deserves that support as well. So we will not discriminate against the survivor. We do hold a destination retreat. We are stationed out of Carl Junction, but we want to come to them, not have them come to us. So we will go to different locations to reach a larger array of surviving children. We have a host of different fun things that we do with them. But we do love keeping those a secret, just so it is something special directly for them. Our main focus for them is that every child does deserve support. They deserve to grieve, and a lot of them don't realize that they are carrying all this baggage for all these years until they meet others that actually can understand them. So we would love to have you guys part of our Precious Legacy team. And here is our obstacles and our goals. So I'm going to run through these really quick and I'll answer any of those questions. Military surviving young adult children are a growing community, overlooked, undeserved, and possibly unknown. And limited donors and resources due to limited exposure and new and learning. A lot of these is when they turn 18, they don't just disappear, they drop off of any governmental support catalog. So us calling the VA asking for where are these 19 and 23 years olds, they don't know because they completely drop off of any type of education support, therapy, retreats, insurance. A lot of these, they just are not known. That and the fact that the differences between the KIA, they have documentation of. They say they can't document stateside deaths. They don't know the differences between a service member in the U.S. with family and who has children. We all know that's BS, but there is no way to actually contact these, so it's really difficult for us to reach them. We are obviously, you saw the pie graph of all the age groups starting to shift and into our age category. They obviously have grown in the need of the 19 to 24-year-olds, and it's not even done. We still have service members at loss. We still are always welcoming in new Gold Star family members, and we also want to be here for them. We are new. We're immature. We are in August, very first year anniversary of being a 501c3. Last year we did a trial retreat. It was phenomenal. In June we have our next retreat that is officially our first year. We're welcoming 5 more survivors, but we want to get to know you. We want to learn, we want to mentor, we want to grow to know that what we're doing is correct, but there's a lot of areas that we're immature about and we need support in. And obviously limited donors and resources, limited exposure. When people say hashtag share, hashtag like, they mean it. When somebody is basing off of word of mouth, it is crucial for us to be able to reach the community, and the only way to do that is by sharing. Our goal is to fund 2 retreats. We have 1 right now. I'd love within the 5 years to do 2, if not possible 3. 2 for survivors. a third for our alumni. Nothing's like pulling the smaller groups into a larger group. We'd like to leave things 10 to 12 survivors, to leave it more family oriented and time for them to actually share with one another. So to be able to pull 12 of each retreat into a larger retreat will just grow their family, and they will know they don't have to grieve alone. Building relationships, obviously, with all of you and the rest of the community, and growing our partnerships, sponsors, and donors. Those are the 3 T's that we want to talk about: the time, talent, treasure. It's not just income that we're needing. We need your time. If you have a talent that you can share with us, maybe you have a business, a location that will hold 12 to 15, 20 single beds, that you're willing to donate to us. We'd love to have a retreat in your place. Possibly you have a venue. We would love to hold an event, and we'd like to do a silent auction. We don't know anything about how to do any of that. So if anybody has a location that they would share with us, possibly you have a band or a magician or somebody that could be entertainment for that. That's a talent. So there are so many areas of help that you can support the Precious Legacy. And raising awareness to civilian and to military communities. Obviously, education is key. So people don't understand why a support system is out for these children. So it's educating the survivors, communities, and to our military communities, since they are so hard to reach. How can you support us? We are huge supporters of the Wreaths Across America. They support us by every wreath that is purchased to lay at a fallen service member's stone at a national cemetery. They give us $5. So you're now honoring our fallen and the living legacies. We have our store with our swag, and we sell gnomes. If you go to the event tomorrow evening, we have an auction basket, and on our table we are decorating our table with some items that we offer. Amazon Smile, if you choose us as your donation every time that you have a major purchase, we get 5% of that. And if you're on a Bing search, instead of Googling, choose Bing search. If you choose us as your nonprofit, we also get a kickback from that as well, just searching your everyday items. And we have an Amazon wish list. So on Amazon, we have our grocery list that we use for our retreats. Sometimes they have gifts on there that we can give to our survivors. Mostly it's items that will cut off of our budget to help supply the items that we need for a retreat. And then now we have our contact information, and if you have any questions.
All right, who has questions?
Okay.
Good presentation. I think what you guys are doing is amazing. I have a couple questions. So I noticed you didn't say anything about donorship as far as direct donors. Are you guys doing that? Are you, that's my first question. My second question is, what kind of marketing campaigns, whether that's educational or anything that you're doing, and what are you doing to those who know about your organization but are still how are you keeping them in the know?
Yep. Yeah. So as for donors, absolutely. So we have our website that there's a donate button right on it. We go through Square. So it can be set up as a one-time donation or a monthly donation. I will say that 90% of anything that we collect goes straight to the resort, to the retreats, to our survivors. We make things very small. We do our own business cards, our own printed flyers, because we don't want to use that money on that. We want to use it on them, which I forgot to bring today. So, as for marketing, we do a lot of the meet and greets, the after hours. We post a lot on our social medias, on Facebook, not Twitter, no, Twitter. Instagram, and we do weekly videos that will be posted on YouTube and our social media accounts that can keep up with what we're doing right now. And as for keeping in contact with the I call them kids, the survivors, it's very important for us to continue that relationship and education with them. So we send emails, texts on birthdays. I send them birthday cards. Christmas, we send a Christmas card. We want them to constantly know that just because they left the Precious Legacy Retreat didn't mean they left the Precious Legacy. And then we always will invite alumni back to the next year's retreat, where they can also, they have experience, they have knowledge, so now they can share that with the newcomers coming in and relax them. So those are all very important for us.
So I have a question. So on this retreat, what exactly is it? How long is it? What do you do? But also, if someone wanted to sponsor somebody for the retreat, what's the cost?
Okay, so for this year, we are in Keystone, Colorado. We're bringing them there. We will typically have 2 main activities. Depending on where we are located, depends on what's offered. We are 2 hours from anything in Keystone. We didn't find that out until later. But we are going to take them hiking. Typically, we will do some sort of icebreaker that's light at first, so we don't just throw them in. Our retreats are from a Thursday to a Sunday. They come in, we do the rules, we have dinner, icebreakers, and just let them just get to know one another that first evening. We wake up Friday. We always have something small like bowling or hiking or something like that, like we are this year. On Saturday, we always have an amazing guest speaker by Tammy Imlay. She is a veteran and a survivor, and she is a motivational speaker. She comes, she encourages the children to let them know that what they're going through is normal. It's okay to grieve, but it's also okay to be okay. And so we always love to have her, and then because of that conversation being so intense, it usually will open up a lot of emotions these kids did not know they even had. So we end up usually always leaving it as a rage cage at the end. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of them. It's like a break room. They go in, they smash things, they throw things, they hit, they scream, they have music. This is where they walk out and go, I did not realize I just was carrying all of this for however long. And those are always really important to us. After that, we always do a dinner out that night, let them clean up, let them have a fun evening just to relax. As a sponsorship, so we are knowing this year we cannot have enough funds to cover their travel. So they're having to cover their costs there. So our budget was $6,000 to cover for 10 to 12 attendees. We are going to come next year. We partnered with Angel Wings for Veterans. They're giving us a flat rate cost for flights. And we will now start budgeting to cover costs for these kids to come as well. So that's one less thing, 100% covered. They will have nothing to worry about. So we will be raising our budget to $10,000 for a retreat for 10 to 12 attendees. You budget for that, you can sponsor an individual child, or you can sponsor the entire thing, or you can even just put something and say this is for groceries, this is for this event, and so on.
I have a question. Will you just talk briefly about what last year's retreat looked like? And then, sorry, Lil, I didn't wait. Will you talk about what last year's retreat looked like? And then also, will you talk about, I'll ask you after you talk about that.
Okay. So last year we had 3 attend in Oklahoma. We had a beautiful house that we rented. Well, I rented. And it was right on the lake, so we offered them plenty of time for them to kayak, fish, anything that they had their hearts desired on. We did get up, we went bowling, we did the rage cage, we had our speaker, we have all of our meals. A lot of these kids are either in the world of business and have no money, or they're in school and still have no money. So when was the last time they had a really good cooking? So we make sure all of our food is home cooked right there, morning, breakfast, lunches, dinners, except for the one dinner out. So when we do those, the very first day, it's amazing to see the growth in these kids. None of them know one another. All of them are within different times and periods of their grief and in their lives. So we had 3 just to try it out to see if this is even something that a young adult is even going to desire or want. So we had one that was 6 when his dad died, had seizures through kindergarten, doesn't remember him whatsoever. So he struggles with understanding of why would I be upset over someone I don't remember. That I related to myself because my daughter was 6. You know, she's now struggling at 12, I forgot, 13, she's 13 now. Sorry. And she struggles because she's forgetting her dad. So I related to this boy. And we had a girl who was always positive, always smiling, always laughing, never ever wrong. She's like, I'm never sad. We had an introvert that just didn't really want to talk. 2 extroverts and an introvert, it was a lot in her face. And so when we did the first day, everybody was very separate, you know, just trying to introduce one another, very formal. By day 2, we did bowling. All of a sudden, they're hanging out, getting pictures with one another, giving each other high fives, they're laughing, telling jokes. By day 3, they're hugging, they're talking to each other, they're crying. You know, these are things that they're bringing up that they know that they're relating to, and they didn't realize they would relate to someone else, because someone would say something and then somebody would go, you too. You know, and then when you see that after they're leaving, they're now texting one another, they're messaging one another, they want to meet up with each other. And it's just asking them what they received out of this. They say it's absolutely beneficial. I didn't realize I was that mad. I didn't realize I was angry that I can't remember. It's not the fact that I can't remember him, it's the angry that I can't remember him. She, you know, the female, you know, that she was in tears saying, you know, I wish things were differently. You know, yes, you're right. And, you know, but our biggest thing is to know that they're not alone, that it's okay to grieve, and that we are here to show them that there are others just like them that they can now call and hang on and support.
Thank you. I appreciate that, because I had trouble visualizing what that retreat looked like. I have one idea for you in getting your message out. So I was looking up something else, and I happened to come across this video about a group who provides like trips for people who have cancer, people who have like reoccurring cancer. And the video that they put together was about all of like the trips. They were about the trips that people have been on, and it was like so powerful. So I can see like if you could get some video footage of your retreats and create like a, you know, something short, like, you know, a couple minutes at max that like talks about what your organization is doing. I think people would totally like sign up to. I didn't even know this organization at all. I was like, okay, I'm going to donate now, like right now, because it was the video was so powerful of the people talking about their experience and what is going on. So,
yeah. It's a great idea, and I know that is something that we have discussed. I know last year I did reach out to them to give us a written testimony of what it was for them. This year it is our important. We're going to set them aside in a room privately for them to take or write a testimony if they're not feeling comfortable in front of a camera, so that we are willing to use their story privately to let others know that it is, you know, it is a good thing and that they aren't alone, and to get that spread out. So that's great.
So I have 2 questions. One, can you explain the gnomes for everyone? They're really cute. And sort of what that looks like and how they can, I know you can buy them online and obviously, but sort of talk about where the gnome came from. And then my second question is, right now, I know you said it's a struggle to try to find these kids. And so the kids that you do have right now, how are you finding them? Like, are they locally? Because I know you have a board that is helping you, but you have your board is spread out. They're not all in Missouri. So, you know, where are these kids coming from currently?
Okay, so our gnomes, last year we knew it was just right about the time we started becoming out and in front of people's faces. It was, you know, fall. So we were like, we need to get into being seen. How do we get to be seen? Well, you join the craft fairs. So what are we gonna do? Everybody loves gnomes. I mean, they're cute. So we started building these gnomes. I can tell you that 100% of the cost of these gnomes is from me. I donate all the supplies, and then everything that we get cost-wise from the gnomes just goes directly back to the kids. And so we initially started full gnomes, gluing them all together, and having some build your own options. Now we have transferred because we've had a lot of people asking if we could just change the hats. So we have built these weird looking bodies And then we built all these hats, and the noses and beards are already on them, so now you just have to buy a body, choose your hat, and then you can change them out throughout the seasons or whatever you desire. And they are $25 for the body, and you can have, it's buy two, get one free for the hats, or $5 a piece. I forgot your second question.
Where are you finding the kids now? Are
Yes.
they coming locally?
Yes, so obviously we are not in a really big military community, so none of them are local. I have a board member in Tennessee, I have one in Colorado, I have one up near Kansas City, and I have my treasurer here local. And so we all kind of dig out. I get involved in, it's called an SOS Dine and Dial meeting, so Survivor Outreach Services. Those services are supposed to set up to help reach and talk about communities and offers to our surviving families. Like again, there's not a whole lot out there for our aged out community, so I purposely put myself into those meetings so I can inform other SOS directors or other nonprofits that we exist. Our other option is I have reached out purposely to a lot of these nonprofits and said, you have a huge array of kids that are aging out of your nonprofit. Can you tell them about us so they know they don't have to have that support stop? Difference between our nonprofit or our retreats to other retreats are always about cramming all this time in, spoiling them, having fun, don't breathe, forget about sleep, and we just go, 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 go until it's time to go. And it's exhausting. There's never downtime for these kids to really meet one another. And our whole focus of the Precious Legacy is so that they can build these bonds with one another. So the fun part is such a minimal amount of what we focus on. So reaching them is honestly posting on our military sites. It's going to those meetings, and it's really word of mouth, and it's definitely hard.
So if someone wanted to, is there a way that they apply or something?
Yes, so we have a registration right there on our website. We always direct them to our website. Registration is closed right now due to the retreat coming in the first weekend of June. So the registration will open back up once we have selected next year's, which we already kind of have figured the next 2 years. We have a board meeting tonight, and we're going to vote on those, but we have pretty much our next 2 years figured out. And then we'll announce those, and then kids can go ahead and start applying and registering for those. After they have registered, we continually reach up about every month just to let them know things that they can see. We help them how to get travel costs. Come next year, we just want to know what times they want to fly, and then we'll book them for them. And we'll give them packing lists, we'll give them an itinerary, we give them, there's just things we'll continue communicating with them so they're not forgotten. One thing we have found out from them is kids don't look at their emails. So, I don't know why that's so hard, but I text them and they respond instantly. So I email them, then text them to tell them they have an email. So we're learning.
Right. One of the big questions, 1 Million Cups, is how we as a community can help.
Right.
Through your talk, there are several things you said,
Yeah.
like we don't know how to do this or whatever. So, what specifically are things you might help that maybe you could get some assistance from somebody in the audience or whatever, or group?
Great. So I've already been reached out and talked to a couple from previous 1 Million Cup attendees that they've already started helping us with our website. Our problem was we were really difficult to become searchable. And there's something to do with the algorithm, or I don't know, all that computer stuff. So, but we have been reached out, and she's helping us get that figured out. So that part is taken care of. Other than that, we really want volunteers for committees. We need committees. We need marketing committee. We need social media committee. We need fundraising committees. We are doing everything on our own. And we're doing pretty good, but there's a lot that we can learn from. Other than that, obviously sharing, spreading the word, letting people know who we are and what we stand for. Thirdly, again, we would love to put on an event. We just don't have space or anything. We have, so for the past year, I've been collecting things for a silent auction. My entire basement is covered, but we just don't know how to throw one on. So it's just been sitting there, and a little nervous to how to start that. So that's something, if somebody wants to help us with, that'd be huge. Because again, 100% of whatever we earn in that, will just go to them.
Question for you, and a piece of advice, if you don't mind. First of all, I'm sorry for your loss. Thank you for your husband's service and your family's sacrifice and your passion for what you're doing. I think that's a beautiful thing. Years ago, when I had my marketing company, I had a client that we operated heavily in the funeral home industry. So I got to attend the National Funeral Home Directors Association as well as the International. When you're talking about being able to reach these kids, I think that if you tapped into that industry from the national level and their organization, and they found out about what you're doing and your passion, you may actually need a committee to figure out how you're going to scale quickly. Mm-hmm. Because I think that that industry is constantly looking for ways to add personal touch for what they can do for their families, rather than going through a process that actually help them. So really, I just have a sense that if you connected with that national organization and got connected to them, that could be fantastic for you. And then the other thing is, yeah, just to piggyback on what Olin said, what else can we be doing to help you beyond getting the word out locally?
All right, that's great. I never thought about reaching out to the different funeral homes, so we'll definitely look into that. Thank you.
Yeah, we can check.
Thank you.
I have a question, sorry. My background is 7 years nonprofit, and then I'm in marketing world, so this gets my juices really flowing. Has your nonprofit done strategic planning? Like a legit strategic planning day where you guys have a strategic plan in place? Because that's a lot of nonprofits will be like, yeah, we know what we're doing, and then they're like, we haven't done strategic planning. If not, I would love to get you connected with Dr. Renee White, who is at the community clinic here in Joplin. She offers services for free for nonprofits to strategic plan. It's so beneficial, and it helps you project forward. Also, I saw that you're using Square. Square does take a percentage out of your donor funds, so I would recommend working with a company like CFO, Community Foundation of the Ozarks, who also have endowment funds, who also match donations. So I would also love to get you connected with them as well, because they're also an organization that is great. And just some things like from a marketing perspective, like there's so many things that I could recommend doing, but like you could get Google Workspace for free and have like a legit email that's like info@thepreciouslegacy.org instead of thepreciouslegacy@gmail.com. Those types of things help solidify your nonprofit and make you seem, not that you're not legit, but it's kind of like a seal in the deal for a lot of people. And then I was also going to say, I know that earlier you said you don't really want to spend a lot of money on marketing, but I think it's really important for nonprofits, like you do have to spend money to get your message out there. So don't ever feel guilty for planning of, like when you're doing your annual budgets of like saying, hey, we have to raise $10,000 so we can spend that $10,000 specifically for marketing.
Right.
The second part of that is Athena. At Athena we do a lot of digital advertising, and so like your niche market is kids scrolling on Instagram or Facebook who might have parents in the military. We can do like direct campaigns of educational campaigns that like people can do lead-gen forms where they can inquire about your services or information specifically to those demographics. So I'd love to talk to you about it later. So
Thank you.
What happens after the retreat for these people? Is it all about that and that's the end? Or like what happens post-retreat?
So post-retreat, we will send a survey out to the kids to let us know what they got from that, what things do they would like to see change. And we always want to get their opinions. Their opinions is what about them? So we want to make sure we're setting it up with them in mind. So after that, we still continue to check in on them. We Facebook stalk them. Well, I Facebook stalk them. But honestly, it's just to know, are they okay? And like I find out what their jobs are. You know, like, so when they get a promotion, I celebrate them. And when finally got her apartment on her own, you know, we celebrate it. Like I said, we will reach back out through text because we find out email doesn't work. So we will let them just say, you know, hey, it's been a little while since we reached out. Is there anything I can pray for you about? Honestly, we are faith-based, but we're not religious-focused because being military, there's all sorts of demographics. So we do not stick with one. You know, like when we say all is welcome, all is welcome. But we will always let them know that we're thinking of them, that we will pray for them, and what do they need help in. So if someone says, we've had one reach out going, you know what, I'm learning how to budget. I don't know how to budget. You know, don't worry, I'll find somebody to help you budget. So I reach somebody else, get them in contact where now they're sitting down and making a budget plan. So we don't stop communicating with them. We never want them to feel that, oh, this is a retreat, now you're forgotten again. And the birthday cards, you know, I have all their dates, their names to know who, when, so we send that out. Christmas cards, just want to send you thank you. We don't have the budget right now to send them, we'd love to send a gift card to them. We just don't have that, but as long as we're saying that we love you, it's working, and we want to make sure that not at any time are they getting forgotten.
So I will say, I think that's awesome. I went through a similar experience which you have. My family's a Make-A-Wish family, and so we had a Make-A-Wish trip and went through that experience. And it was great, and what Make-A-Wish does that is interesting is post the trip, like it's all about the trip, but then once the trip is over, obviously not every family gets to survive, so we're fortunate there that our family carried on, but now we have an opportunity, like Make-A-Wish keeps us involved, and we can become a brand ambassador if we wanted to. We can take on a family and sponsor a future trip for someone. We can mentor families going through similar experiences. So there's like a program where we could enter into if there's someone that has a similar diagnosis to what we went through. And so I think those kids that come through the program, like you could allow them to become ambassadors of the program and maybe go back to a retreat and even form like an online community of, you could have somebody as an ambassador that would then sponsor the 12 kids at that retreat, and maybe it's just like a monthly Zoom call that they have. Just passing on what they learned and what they've gone through, and even if it's just a year. Like those people that go through the actual program and experience that are gonna be the most vocal of anyone that, more so than any sponsor or anyone on your board or anything like that. It's gonna be the actual people that experience it. And so I know in Make-A-Wish, a lot of the volunteers, a lot of people that work for the organization now are families that went through it. And they're always the most active. And so I would, you only have 3 now, but it'll continue to expand as you go. So I would put more value on those people and provide opportunities for them to then turn back around and serve within your organization. So I think you'll find a lot of success
I
there.
think that's great, I agree. And we do some of that. We had one of our females from St. Louis area last year. Like last year was a trial, so we did bring in just 3. Of course, we wanted more, but we only received 3. And one of them from St. Louis area. The mother is still very involved and spreads the word. There's some community things that I can't reach up there that is available, so she goes in my place. So she is reaching out. Her daughter moved to Minnesota and is very happy to be an ambassador and definitely spreads the word out there. And she is willing to reach out and communicate to the survivors that will attend our retreats. We do always offer an alumni to come back to a retreat, and we would love at some point to be able to support a 3rd retreat for the alumni. So it is very smart, and that's why we want to kind of do the documentary, so that way there's always, and I open up a private Facebook page for them. So no one else can go, only they are invited, so now they have a community that they can communicate through that.
I think you mentioned something about an event tomorrow night?
Oh, it's my it's
Her
her
banquet.
banquet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, everyone that's going to the banquet, she's got a gnome basket with
Oh.
information and the gnomes on the table. Cool.
Thank you, Amber.